Thank you, Jolani. Africa's education sector has made some significant strides over the years. However, it's still got a long way to go in terms of accessibility, among other issues. Now, to date, South Africa, for example, has been plagued by sporadic protests at institutions of higher learning, thus threatening quality of the academic experience for enrolled students. Now, affordability has been at the center of these demonstrations. However, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, to make sense of the current state of academia and to tell us a little bit about the Henley Business School, we are joined on the line by the school's dean and director, that is Jon Foster-Pedley. Good day, Mr. Pedley, and thank you for joining us.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Now, Henley prides itself in on giving an opportunity to work in diversity here in SA. Tell us a little bit about all this diversity and how the Henley Business School maneuvers its way around that.
Diversity is a very big word, actually. We always think diversity as being racial diversity and gender diversity, which are critically important. But actually diversity is much, much more than that. It's about professional diversity, it's about personality diversity, it's about religious beliefs, and it's also about business diversity. Business sectors are broken into many different ways. So if we just take it in terms of the historic views of diversity, to have good learning, you probably need multiple perspectives in a classroom. So it's important to have multiple perspectives. So you're trying to create diversity and talk about different ways of seeing things. If you're going to make a decision in business, you can't just have one point of view. Decisions are complex. There are multiple perspectives. So you need people to share their different views. So you've got to create learning approaches that allow people to share their opinions, and then you've got to create facilitation processes that will allow you to moderate and think and imagine other people's points of views and allow people to shift their opinions in the face of the different diversity you have in the classroom. And that's a real skill in education. It's not about lecturing and telling people stuff. It's about helping people form opinions, make decisions, and then test their decisions in action. And that's really one of the fundamentals changes in which we need in our education system, moving away from a purely academic model into one that creates job employability, people who are ready to contribute in the workplace.
Now, in terms of that inclusivity within that diversity, that has been one of the major issues on the continent, particularly in the higher education sector. There's been, some complaints about people not being able to access those platforms in order for that diversity to take place. Tell us a little bit about the Henley experience on this continent and how you have made efforts towards ensuring that there is indeed that diversity within the classroom.
Well, Henley is part of a global top 1% business school by most independent rankings, the oldest business school in Europe, and we've been 25 years in South Africa. About 5-6 years ago when I joined Henley, we were 6 people in South Africa running an MBA. We've now got a full team of 50. I've got about 200 or 300 associates. And we've gone from being nearly all white people in the operation we have to now 65-70% black employees. We've gone from 20% women to 42% women in our employees. We've gone from 20% women to about 70% women employees, what we have at the moment. And we've gone from about 30% black African MBA students to now around 65-70%. And we're now the largest operation of Henley in the world. And not only that, is we have a very fast-track approach to our employees. So we've taken people from receptionists who are now working within our executive education department, and we're creating a diverse situation. On top of that, we've run a program called MBA, where we're taking the energies of business schools and applying them to plow value back into society. So we've worked with about 250, 260 NGOs. We've given a number of bursaries away, and that's an increasing number of bursaries and scholarships to people who are contributing towards Africa. And we've also got a very aggressive program internally of fast-tracking employees to upskill them, as well as a number of activities, and we call that MBA. So we're trying to change the model so that people understand the context in which they're working. All our students on some of our programs work with NGOs in the townships, not actually to help the NGOs so much as to force people to understand the context of South Africa and Africa in which we're living, and so that organizations will then make contributions to create shared value, not just monetary value for the companies.
Now, apart from the different models that you've placed, of course, on this part of the world for Henley, what do you attribute your growth to?
I think the main thing is that we have our vision, which is we build a people, we build a businesses that build Africa. And we see all our society as being inclusive, all our children at school together, all our futures depend on us working well and educating everybody. If we have a passionate drive for education and we stop looking for government to fund education, although they should, and we stop looking for business to fund education, although they should, and we look to ourselves and our own motivations, what we tell people is if you grasp the opportunity to take skills, and if you get excellent at doing activities and learning how to do things, you don't need to ask for a hand up from your brother or sister or to be given preferential treatment. You can do it on your own. So we build people's confidence. And what we show people is that our MBA students, for example, who are assessed internationally, blind assessed, are actually passing exams better than their British, their French, and their Chinese colleagues. So our South Africans go out there and pass their exams by independent assessors who don't know where they come from at a better rate than some of those people. So we prove to them that we've got all the intelligence we need, and that to acquire skills is a discipline and you have to commit. When you've got skills, you get confidence. And when you've got confidence, you'll take on bigger challenges. And then you'll start to have that education dynamic going on your whole life, and you will grow yourself and your capabilities. And that is the foundation of successful individuals and successful businesses and of a successful country.
Now, we broadcast to the whole continent here on Channel Africa Radio. And if we've got listeners who are tuned in right now thinking to themselves, man, I'd love to be part of that. You know, these guys sound very passionate about advancing the education. What sort of characteristics do you look for, you know, in a Henley Business School student? And is there a website that people can go on who want to get more information?
Well, look for Henley Business School Africa. You can Google us, and it's www.henleysa.ac.za. That's HENLEYSA.ac.za, and that'll tell you a little bit more about us. But what we're looking for in people is it's very simple. We're not looking for geniuses. We believe that people are innately intelligent and that people are underconfident about their capability. We want people who've got the discipline to engage in work, but also got the imagination to think beyond where they are now, so that they can imagine that they are leading companies and not think that's going to happen just by a miracle, but know that there's going to be a path between here and there, which is going to be long and hard. But that path is incredibly fulfilling because you're succeeding all the way through. You feel yourself growing. We want people, and we are full of them in Africa, people who are dedicated to learning. And we want to prove to the world the talent we have in Africa, not just wish fulfillment. We want to prove by the skills we acquire, the work we deliver, by the fact that we're sending people around the world to work and people are coming back, that what we have in Africa is a talent pool second to none in the world. We know this. We're very privileged because we see this on a day-to-day basis. We see people lifting themselves up, succeeding, becoming extraordinary leaders. And I'm not using those words lightly. We see it. So we know this. So it's not like we're kind of giving motivational talk. We're not. We're looking at the facts in front of us. We want other people to know this. And we want people within Africa, elsewhere, to get that confidence in themselves that will not want them to rush off and get something in the short term, but commit themselves to a hard path of learning, which will succeed and change their destinies and the destinies of their children.
Well, Jon, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Maybe one of these days we'll have one of those successful candidates that has gone through the business school to join us in studio. Just tell us a little bit about that experience, maybe in the near future. But for today, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And when are you going to do your MBA?
You know what? I'm thinking to myself, hey, man, you know, the way you're talking, I might just do it.
Yes, we have some birthdays for the creative arts as well.
Maybe one of these days. Maybe one of these days. We'll talk. Okay. We'll definitely talk. Thank you so much for joining us, Jon. That was Jon Foster-Pedley, Dean and Director of the Henley Business School in Africa. He was joining us on the line, talking all things MBA and really advancement on the African continent, and talking about, you know, the academic space within the African continent and all of the capabilities that we as Africans have in terms of moving forward in that direction. We'd love to get your thoughts around that. If you have an interest in that, of course, you can visit their webpage, as you heard for yourself, www.henleysa.ac.za. That's www.henleysa.ac.za. It's 41 minutes after 1 o'clock.